Episode 64, Imposter Syndrome. Hey Magical Misfits, it's Caden Ivy and welcome back to Atonement for Me. So if you've been following me on social media or following my podcast for any extended period of time, you will notice that I create often. And I'm also very awkward at accepting compliments about my work. And some people see that as trying to be humble or fake humble or meek. And it's not always that I don't see the value of what I do. It's that I'm uncomfortable with the placement of that value. And I know that it is often difficult for artists particularly, to accept praise for our work. I've always been taught to almost diminish what I can do, and not in a just be humble way, in a way that almost belittles me because it lessens me almost. And what I mean by that is I've often said before that as a minority and as a woman, if you go into a male-dominated field, you are already a target for everything that you do. And you have to be the best at what you do in order to seem competent. Just as a baseline for what people can slack off and not care about or not even do. Your work is still criticized and picked apart, and nothing you do is ever good enough or even recognized. So if you are used to that mentality and you're used to overperforming and overachieving to be considered normal, that really messes with your self-worth and the way that you would validate yourself and what you do. So it's not necessarily saying, oh, I can do these things. Yeah, it's kind of whatever, it's just this. Sometimes for me, it is just a little thing. It is something that is just a sketch or just an idea I had in my head that I needed to work around with. But it's expected to be better than somebody who is visually already accepted. Because I happen to be an Asian woman, I am fetishized and people see me as younger, but they often see me as a child. So sometimes people are patting me on the head for small achievements as if you would congratulate a child. Oh my gosh, you can do this? Look at you go! You can do that like a regular human being. And it's like, yeah, but you can too. And people going, yeah, but I could never do or would never do what you do. Have you ever had to? Have you ever been under that microscope that you were just completely picked apart, but then somebody else who was not as competent kind of just cruises on through, and they don't even have to see how much you struggle to be where they are, so that when, as the person who's struggling to be accepted and struggling to be at the table with others, when I finally get there and people are going, good job, it's like, is it? Just to get here? I had to do all that? And when you're used to being completely ignored and being cast aside, you start to think lesser of your achievements or even your worth, because you keep on being told that you're lesser. I was at a craft fair show working for a company, and I was in a full onesie. I was told by the person putting on the craft fair that I was in a public place without a bra, and that there'd been multiple complaints about me, and that it was completely and utterly inappropriate. And he cornered me while I was with a client. And I happened to have been wearing a onesie because it was in the forum and it's on ice and it's cold. And my boss was in a corset. And when I tried to explain to her why that had cut me so deep, that I got to be cornered by a white man because he was angry, and I got to be belittled in front of everybody and told pretty much that I was unacceptable. And she was enraged, but she was enraged because a man had told a woman something. And I said, but I felt lesser because I was being singled out. I was the only Asian there. Like, if he was going to yell at a woman, he would have yelled at the both of us. But he didn't. He yelled at me. And when they spoke the next day about the incident, he had said, well, I was having a bad day, so I yelled at her. And my boss got to go into her feminist tirade, which, absolutely, go ahead. But the both of you are completely ignoring the fact that, sir, you yelled at me because you were having a bad day. When white men have a bad day, people like me pay the price, and it is okay. And everybody just is like, well, he had a bad day. Guess what? That's what they say when we get murdered. So it hurts. And then when people say, well, look at where you are. Look at what you've done. I don't feel like that achievement is even valuable if I'm not even seen as a human being. Because you don't even see that achievement, because you didn't even see the struggle to get to that achievement. It's like working on a movie and doing all of the special effects when the main character is never shown on screen not bruised and being completely ignored when cast and crew are thanked and acknowledged because you were that little girl who stepped out of place, that little Asian girl who fought for her boundaries, I had no right to do that. And just to be seen as competent, just to be able to even have a little place at the table, almost as a pet, as a prize. Look at all you've achieved. You can do this. But really, we're not quite sure if we can show the world what you can do. It's a slap in the face. And it spirals. Because you can continually tell me, oh, that it's just this one-off, but it's a pattern. And that's just the tea.